Ever wondered what life is like in modern China? From censorship to environmental degradation, we are going to dissect China's vast complexities and challenges that civilians are facing in today's world, and why these challenges came to be in the first place. Welcome to the dark underbelly of modern life in China. In the annals of history, China's story is one of immense transformation. From the ancient dynasties that ruled with imperial authority to the tumultuous upheavals of the 20th century, the nation has weathered countless storms. Yet it is the recent decades that have seen China emerge as a global economic powerhouse, propelling itself into the modern era with unprecedented speed. The historical context of modern China is a tapestry woven with threads of revolution, reform, and resilience. As the 20th century dawned, China stood at a crossroads. The collapse of the Qing dynasty and the subsequent chaos gave rise to competing visions for the nation's future. From the revolutionary fervor of Sun Yat-sen to the authoritarian grip of Chiang Kai-shek, China's journey towards modernity was marked by conflict and strife. However, it was under the leadership of Mao Zedong and the Communist Party that the most dramatic changes would occur. The Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution unleashed waves of destruction, leaving millions dead and society in disarray. Yet from the ashes of upheaval arose a new China. Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms in the late 20th century heralded a new era of growth and development. The opening up of China to the world unleashed an economic juggernaut that would reshape the global landscape. Skyscrapers soared, highways sprawled, and a burgeoning middle class emerged. However, beneath the veneer of progress lurked shadows of the past. The scars of history, from Tiananmen Square to the ongoing struggles for human rights and democracy, serve as reminders of the complex legacy that shapes modern China. In the tumultuous years of the Cultural Revolution, families were torn apart, intellectuals persecuted, and ancient traditions discarded in the fervor of revolution. The Red Guards, fervent supporters of Mao's vision, wreaked havoc on society, targeting anyone perceived as a threat to the regime. Schools were shuttered, temples desecrated, and books burned in a frenzy of ideological purity. The legacy of this era continues to echo in the memories of those who lived through it, a cautionary tale of the dangers of radicalism unchecked. In the aftermath of the Tiananmen Square protests, the Chinese government launched a ruthless crackdown on dissent, sending a chilling message to would-be challengers of its authority. Tanks rolled through the streets, bullets flew, and a sea of blood stained the pavement as the dream of democracy was crushed beneath the wheels of oppression. Yet, even in the face of such brutality, the spirit of resistance endured. From the iconic image of the tank man to the countless unnamed heroes who risked everything for freedom, the legacy of Tiananmen Square is etched into the soul of a nation. Now, let's take a look at the problem. In the heart of modern China beats a dark underbelly, where the promise of progress belies a reality of oppression and exploitation. Despite the gleaming skyscrapers and bustling streets, millions languish in the shadows, their voices silenced, their rights trampled upon. From the stifling grip of censorship to the sweatshops that churn out goods for the world, the problems facing China today are as vast as they are daunting. At the core of China's woes lies a fundamental lack of freedom. The Chinese Communist Party's iron grip on power brooks no dissent, crushing any hint of opposition with ruthless efficiency. From journalists silenced to activists disappeared, the price of speaking out in China is steep indeed. Yet, even as the government tightens its stranglehold on the flow of information, cracks begin to appear in the facade of control. Social media, despite the best efforts of censors, becomes a battleground for ideas, a virtual Tiananmen Square where the struggle for freedom plays out in 280 characters or less. In the sprawling factories that dot China's landscape, millions toil away in conditions reminiscent of the Industrial Revolution. Long hours, low wages, and dangerous working conditions are the norm, as workers churn out the latest gadgets and gizmos for the world to consume. Yet behind the shiny facades of global brands lurk tales of exploitation and misery. From Foxconn's infamous suicide nets to the child laborers hidden away in the supply chains of multinational corporations, the human cost of China's economic miracle is paid in blood and tears. As the smog blankets China's cities, the toll on human health becomes increasingly clear. Respiratory illnesses soar, life expectancies plummet, and the very air becomes a toxic cocktail of pollutants. Yet, even as citizens don face masks and air purifiers in a desperate bid for clean air, the root causes of the pollution remain unaddressed. From coal-fired power plants to unregulated factories, the sources of China's environmental woes are as numerous as they are entrenched. And as the rivers run black and the skies turn gray, the true cost of China's development becomes painfully evident. So why is China having these kinds of problems? The roots of China's challenges run deep, tangled in the complex web of history, politics, and economics. At the heart of the matter lies the Chinese Communist Party, whose grip on power is as ironclad as it is absolute. From the lofty halls of Zhongnanhai to the streets of Beijing, the party's presence looms large, its authority unquestioned. Yet, beneath the facade of stability lies a simmering cauldron of discontent, fueled by inequality, injustice, and a longing for freedom. As China's economy booms, so too do the contradictions inherent in its development model. The pursuit of growth at all costs has led to rampant environmental degradation, as rivers run black and skies turn gray with pollution. Yet, even as the government pays lip service to the need for sustainability, the juggernaut of industry rolls on, fueled by a voracious appetite for progress. From the smokestacks of coal-fired power plants to the sprawling factories of the Pearl River Delta, the engines of China's growth belch forth a toxic cloud that chokes the land and its people. In the remote region of Xinjiang, a sinister experiment in social control unfolds before the world's eyes. Under the guise of combating extremism, the Chinese government has launched a campaign of mass surveillance, detention, and indoctrination targeting the Uyghur Muslim minority. Detention camps spring up like mushrooms after a rainstorm, their barbed wire fences and watchtowers a stark reminder of the horrors within. Yet, even as the international community condemns these actions as tantamount to genocide, the Chinese government remains unmoved, its grip on power unshakable. In the bustling metropolis of Guangzhou, migrant workers eke out a living on the fringes of society, their dreams of prosperity dashed against the cold reality of urban inequality. Denied access to public services and marginalized by a hukou system that treats them as second-class citizens, these modern-day pioneers find themselves trapped in a cycle of poverty and despair. Yet, even as they toil in the shadows of skyscrapers, their voices go unheard, drowned out by the roar of progress. And as the gap between rich and poor widens, the promise of the Chinese dream rings hollow for those left behind. How does this impact those involved? In the labyrinthine corridors of power, decisions made in Beijing reverberate far beyond the walls of Zhongnanhai, shaping the lives of millions in ways both seen and unseen. For those who dare to challenge the status quo, the consequences can be swift and severe. Activists disappear into the night, their fate unknown. Journalists are silenced, their pens turned to swords of silence. Yet, even as the regime tightens its grip on power, the spirit of resistance endures, a flickering flame of hope in a sea of darkness. For the workers who keep China's factories humming, the toll of their labors is measured not in dollars and cents, but in sweat and tears. Long hours, low wages, and dangerous conditions are the price they pay for a chance at a better life. Yet, even as they toil in the shadows of skyscrapers, their dreams remain just beyond reach, tantalizingly close yet forever out of grasp. And as the machines churn and the assembly lines blur, the true cost of China's economic miracle becomes painfully clear. In the smog-choked streets of Beijing, children cough and wheeze as they make their way to school, their young lungs no match for the toxic haze that hangs in the air. For them, clean air is a luxury they can ill afford as they struggle to breathe in a city that has become a virtual gas chamber. Yet, even as they gasp for breath, their voices go unheard, drowned out by the roar of progress. And as they grow up in a world where pollution is the norm, the true cost of China's development becomes painfully evident. In the remote villages of Tibet, monks pray in silence as the Chinese government tightens its grip on the region, their ancient traditions threatened by a modernity that knows no bounds. For them, the struggle for autonomy is a battle fought on sacred ground, as they seek to preserve a way of life that has endured for centuries. Yet, even as they stand firm in the face of oppression, their voices go unheard, drowned out by the roar of progress. And as they watch helplessly as their culture is eroded, the true cost of China's expansion becomes painfully clear. Potential solutions to the problem. In the face of such daunting challenges, the road ahead may seem dark and uncertain. Yet, even in the shadow of oppression, there are glimmers of hope, faint though they may be. From grassroots activism to international pressure, there are paths forward that offer the promise of change. It is up to those who dare to dream of a better world to seize upon these opportunities and forge a new path forward. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this video, then you're going to love this one. Click the video on the screen right now and take a look. And as always, thanks for watching.